What is up, winning team? Hello, guys. I am going to be talking about how I've realized recently religion did a serious number on me, like a serious number, because I've kind of realized that. So I didn't know that when the Lord was bringing me into the winning season, that it wasn't just like the physical, like materialistic and types of wins were like, because he knows I know that he can easily do it. So that wasn't the big deal. The bigger deal is me and the people he wants to bring into my life. And a lot of really unexpected things have happened. As a result, has made me realize that religion has done a number on me. And the best way I can explain to you guys how I've lived my life up until this point is actually based on something that somebody said to me on one of my results days. So doing our GCSE exams, right, which are the exams that all 16-year-olds sit. I'm preparing my students as we speak for the GCSEs that are coming up in May, June. I remember one of the exams, I tried really hard to do better. It was maths in my second exam, and I got 97%, which was insanity, by the way. Literally one of the proudest moments of my life. The individual that went with me to collect these results, when I told them, the first thing that came out of their mouth, but it's not 100% though, is it? But it's not 100%. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what my life and my brain is like. 97% isn't good enough. It has to be 100, but 100 is unattainable, and the unattainability of 100% and trying to get there, and even though you're getting closer and closer, even though you're in the top percentile, you're in the top 1%, you're number one, doesn't matter that you're number one because you could have run even quicker. Was that your personal best? It doesn't matter if you are, getting an education and doing this, you still are not good at that. That encompasses what I feel like religion has done to me. Because there's two sides to the coin. I've been watching a lot of Tana Mongeau at the minute. I relate to that girl so much. Like, it's actually been so therapeutic and so healthy and healing for me to listen to her just talking and watching her story, because it's kind of reaffirming the good and the voices of light and love in my life, and helping me to silence the negative voices, the voices of darkness, the voices of this overachieving, needing to earn people's love, having to being expected to do things that other people can't do anyway, and then still being critiqued by people who couldn't even come close. Yeah, did a number. And the reason why I say religion in particular, because I'm trying really hard not to make this about individual people, because I'm not a believer in I feel like, look, the Bible says we've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, right? So I'm no better than anybody else. And the only reason I'm who I am is because I just surrender myself to the Lord. That's it. There is literally no other way for me to explain it other than I literally surrender myself to the Lord. So that's why, even though I'm uncomfortable with what's happening, I've literally been crying for hours and hours nonstop for the past 5 weeks, just realizing what I'm telling you guys right now. And last night in the early hours of the morning, I was watching all the old High School Musical, Camp Rock music videos, and I was bawling my eyes out watching this stuff, because I was thinking about all of these individuals, child stars, and this is why I think I really relate to them in a certain way, and how they're all so talented and doing what they do. And knowing what was going on, as they were doing this, you wouldn't believe it, because they carried off things so well. And that's one of the things that I feel sucks, and where I feel in some ways, sometimes I do wish I had been more of a Tana Mongeau, where because for her, I feel I'm just praising Jesus. If I get to meet her, I'm going to pray for her. And I'm going to tell her that Jesus loves her, because she needs to know that Jesus loves her. But anyway, if I didn't have the Lord the way that I do, I would be exactly like her. The fact that I'm this is miraculous. And I feel because I haven't turned out horribly, because I'm not here on drugs and like partying all the time and doing whatever. Like, I kind of feel like I made it look like what's happened has been so much like easier than what it really was. It's like the iceberg thing. I was thinking it's just like the iceberg thing, where you just see like the tip of the iceberg. You can't see the rest of the bottom of the iceberg. You know what I'm saying? You can't see all of what the whole thing is. You can just see some part of it. So people see me and they just see this. And they're like, wow, you're well educated. You're so wise. You're this, you're that. I'm like, because I've had to dig deep. Like, I've had to dig so deep and allow the Lord to really pull me out from like so far down. And I've realized that I have dealt with some of the most heinous evil in this world. And I realize why the Lord has allowed this. My thoughts have changed about so many things, guys. Like, so many things. My thoughts have been changing because I've been coming to realize that I really, truly believe that the reason I've been through the things that I have, and this is why I'm grateful, is because to be the voice of hope, to be the voice of light, the voice of understanding for the people who have been through the things like I have, that the world would reject for the same reason the world would reject me, right? People don't want to see certain people in a negative light, or assume certain people because of certain titles or whatever are, you know, the ones to be entrusted. And then it's always us, you know, the young, a little bit out of the box folks who are just seen as like rebellious, you know, are just seen as problematic, you know, all of that. And so, you know, I've realized that why am I even like, and this is what I'm saying, watching all these Tanner videos has really helped me quite a lot. Because I'm thinking Tanner, Trisha Paytas I've loved for years. She's another one who I always knew was a pure soul who'd just been through hell. Because I can tell when somebody's a pure soul but has been through hell. You can tell because the way they treat people, they always treat people really well. They probably make a lot of mistakes, and they probably on the outside carry themselves in a way that it screams red flag. Because that's what I'm like, I feel like. I know I have pure intentions, but I do make a lot of mistakes. Even Tanner was saying, like, in one of her videos, she was like, she doesn't know what to do with anything because she feels like she had nowhere and no one to ask for certain pieces of advice. I was just like, this is literally me right now. But praise the Lord. Praise the Lord, because if you guys are watching, shout out to you, the most precious people ever. Because I now have adopted parents, you guys. But that's a story for another day. And I can't believe this is happening, but this is what I mean. Like, I'm out here thinking winning. I'm thinking like the big, like the other stuff. And God's like, but I want you to have people. This is why I know the Lord really, truly just, he loves me. He loves me so much. Because what a gift, what a beautiful gift. And right near my birthday as well. Anyway, so yeah, I relate to all of that. And I realized that for me, where I come from, so like where she comes from the place where like her parents were already chaotic before she came along. They both had like divorced nearly 4 times and this, that, and the other. Her dad went to the war, and I think the war did a number on him. And I don't know what's going on with those two. And then they had her, and she's from Las Vegas, and she just grew up around a lot of problematic things. Whereas I come from the other side of like where I come from, where like it looks like everything looks so lovely on the outside. I realize that this is why my favorite movie category is psychological thrillers, because I love and I want to write psychological thrillers. In fact, I've already written a few. I've actually written like some TV stuff. Anyway, so I've done a lot in the last couple of years, come to think of it. But anyway, so I love psychological thrillers because in psychological thrillers, right, you always have, it starts off, right, and it will be like a family at a dinner table, and the house will look perfect, and it'll be a lovely little thing with like 3 different dishes, and then the wife will be like, honey, can you pass me the potatoes? And he's like, sure, darling. And then he, like, you know, the mom then like cuts up the chicken for her daughter. The house looks perfect, the family looks perfect, they've dotted every I and they've crossed every T, darling. It is all looking gorgeous, and it is gorgeously hiding the heinous things going on in the background. And that's how I feel like growing up. I grew up like a church girl, a pastor's kid, right? And we would show up, and it's not just about, this is not even about the family. This is about the church and religion as a whole. Because we're just like, as a person, and even just my family, is just like It's just like a one jigsaw piece in the overall jigsaw pieces of religion, right? And so what do we all do? We all doll ourselves up. We all go to church. We all stretch our hands to Jesus. And whatever, if you're struggling right now and you need prayer, come forward for some prayer. That's what people are doing right now. It's Sunday, Sunday morning. This is what people are probably doing right now. Like, can we just stretch our hands? And don't get me wrong. There is so much sincerity, and I believe there are so many sincere people in church. I just want to be very clear. This is why I'm specifically talking about religion, because God has nothing to do with religion. We might need to talk even more about this again. And again, I feel like the reason why I've been through what I've been through is so I can talk about this from an insider's perspective, because a lot of people have opinions from outside perspectives. And I don't know, and a lot of people don't stand up for stuff. And I've always been somebody that stands up for things, whether I think I can or not, which is literally me. The Lord, like, well, go hard or go home. That's what I live by. Go hard or go home. So anyway, they do all of this and everything looks nice and lovely, but behind the scenes, you know, there's stuff going on so and so, especially when you're in the pastor's family, because that's when you know what's really going on, because then everybody's coming to the pastor's family with the problems, talking about so-and-so cheated with so-and-so, so-and-so impregnated so-and-so's daughter, so-and-so has been struggling with this. All of this hiding what's going on behind the scenes. But then what it creates, I feel like created inside of me, is because I felt like I'm looking at everybody around me looking perfect and walking around with this sense of pride of feeling better than other people because of whatever these things that they're doing, knowing how to reading the Bible 100 times or having gone to church for your entire life and whatever, right? And so who's always been very honest with myself, I believe this is why the Lord created me the way that I am, because I'm inside thinking, and I remember so many times, literally, I can think of so many times sitting in church thinking, well, everybody here seems perfect and I know I'm not perfect, so I must need to like work harder, basically. And that is what, by the way, people who have taken advantage of me, capitalized off of my need, my feeling of unworthiness in a sense, like in just existing, if that makes sense, and having to like earn. So like I still do it now. Like I think in business terms, like it's really bad. This actually makes me great at business. And this is why I usually, when I would be making business deals when I was living in London, I would usually get what I would want, because I'm very good at thinking about what the other person wants. And I always say, it was my classic phrase, as long as it's mutually beneficial, just got to figure out what the other person wants and find something that they want enough to give you what you want from them. That was my business strategy. So that's one thing that people go wrong with, and they'll try and pitch ideas to people and they haven't thought enough about what the other person gets out of it. And when you can actually shut people down with, they're like, but what about this? And what about this? And you're like, yeah, I thought about that. And it's like, try and say no to me now. Try. I dare you to say no now after I'm going to make you an offer you cannot refuse. You know what I'm saying? Which is good in business, in relationships, because it means that I can just never feel like, and again, it's because I a lot of times haven't actually had that, you know. Unfortunately for me, there's like a couple of situations coming from a religious standpoint. Being one of the older ones, being, you know, the children of the pastor or whatever, there's all these people looking up to you and being told to look up to you. Can I tell you, when I have children, I will never put the pressure on my firstborn child of trying to be an example. Because can I tell you, these are the things that have done a number on me. I realized earlier this year, I was like, I just want to be like, can I just be a 26-year-old? Like, why do I feel like I have the pressure to like have the maturity and the everything of like 55-year-old? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so somebody said to me, but you're young, you're still young. And I was like, oh, but I don't get treated like it. I don't get treated like I'm still young. I get treated like I'm still not doing enough, even when I'm outdoing everyone. And that's what's nuts and crazy. And this is what I'm realizing. This is why I kind of like my brain, because there's the logical side of it and then there's the like emotional side, right? And it's funny because, again, the logical side is what makes me like fantastic at algebra, and the emotional side is where my creative stuff comes from. But unfortunately, that's why I've realized recently, that's why I've been having a creative block virtually my whole life, because the emotional area is just a mess. The logical area is easy to deal with. But the logical part of my brain is telling the other part of my brain that, like, those standards are just set way too high. You don't have to be perfect in everything. You don't have to keep striving, because you're overwhelmed and you're exhausted because you're always trying to be the best and do the best at everything. And you always feel like if I don't do this, then I'm a failure. If I don't reach this level, then I'm a failure. Like, I've learned all the winning strategies because of this in life, because I've had to this is why I'm great at problem solving. I've had to find a way when there seems to be no way. And his name is Jesus. Praise Jesus. But literally, that's why. So when I'm telling all these winning strategies in life, it's like I have to figure this out or I'm a failure. Like, when I was going to go to uni, we didn't have a working computer at home that was like consistently working properly. So I did all of my student finance application, all of my UCAS, which is where you apply to universities in the UK, on my mobile phone. It was insane. I did some of it at college when I was able to go and use the computers. Most of it I did on my phone. To this day, I still do a lot of things on my phone just because I'm now used to it from when I didn't have a laptop. I do have a laptop now, whatever, but you know what I'm saying? So I just had to figure it out, because the thing is, the fact that I didn't have a laptop was never going to be something that could stop anything, because I have to do this, because there's no way I don't go and study a degree. You see what I'm saying? I remember even when I went to do my degree, before that, when I went to choosing what I was going to study for sixth form, which for those of you who are not from the UK, sixth form is what we do from age 16 to 18. And then again, you do more exams. And then that's what qualifies you, whatever you do at 16 to 18. Could be sixth form, which is like what I did, where you study individual subjects. Or you can do vocational, where you do like an overall topic or subject, like you could study business or whatever. And they're equivalent, like in terms of credits to get into university, but different types of studying. Anyways, so doing my A-levels, 16 to 18. I remember going to visit the place where, strangely enough, I'm supposed to go there again this coming week. And I'm struggling to just allow myself to not go. Because I'm like, how are you going to go last year and you're not going to go this year? Like, you're a failure, like, figure it out. And it's like, the Lord's like, but it's not that deep. Like, anyway, I love God. Honestly, I love God, because God is actually just like, I love the way he talks to me, and he just talks to me in really blunt terms. I like being spoken to in blunt terms, again, because I don't like to have to do algebra to figure out what people are trying to say. So I like when people are just blunt, straight to the point. Like, I love that energy from people. Anyway, this is why it's upsetting me how feminized a lot of men have become nowadays, because I like the bluntness of men. Like, I enjoy that quite a lot. So I was doing the 16. I remember walking around the building, and my mum didn't want me to go there, because she was like, why are you going to go to a college? This is whatever, like, you should go to a sixth form. Obviously, you know, African parents, as they do. Bless her heart. And I was trying to explain to her, I was like, there is a sixth form here, and actually I would just like to point out, sixth form I went to, when I went there, was number one in the United Kingdom. No, in England. Is it United Kingdom or England? It was number one in England. To the point that at the time, Prime Minister came and like cut the tape. There were ones everywhere. So I was actually studying at the best place I could be studying my A-levels for anyway. But anyway, when we went to visit, because I was like, come, if you come and you see, you'll get on board. Like, so she came and she was like, okay. She met the teachers, she saw everything. She probably saw the ones everywhere as well. And that probably was like helping. But I remember we went through also the like creativity area, the like where they had the music studios and they had all this stuff. And I remember thinking to myself that I just didn't have the confidence at the time to break away from the mold enough to go and just study like performing arts. I would have preferred to have done performing arts, I'll be honest. And I think about this often. I think often about how different it would be if I had studied performing arts. I didn't have the confidence. And the reason why I decided to study in London in the first place is because I was like, I can do the chemistry degree and everybody can be happy, and I can still be the like good girl that everybody's looking up to, because I now have been put on this pedestal and I'm supposed to be an example to people. And even then, when it comes to the adults now, nothing I ever do is good enough. I'm never Christian enough. I'm never African enough. I'm never this enough. I'm never nothing enough, ever nothing enough. Right? So I was like, I can go and study that degree. That'll make everybody happy. It's close enough to what I actually want to do that I'm not just like selling out for the dream, because like what really I should have done is gone to med school. If you're African, you're doctor or lawyer. Those are the only two your first words as an African child is doctor, lawyer. I'm telling you. So I was like, so I was like, I'll do that, because then if I move to London, this is why, you see what I'm saying? I'm like, if I move to London, I can do dance on the side. So I checked at all the universities I checked out what they had for dance, like related stuff and all that stuff. And so I was like, cool, this is how I'm going to get involved. And then I'm going to do this. And that's exactly what I did. How did I figure this out? 16, 17-year-old me is still the version of myself that I respect the most highly, because I feel like it's the closest to what I need to get to now that has been lost. Because 16 to 17-year-old me, I was studying all my subjects, maths, chemistry, biology, further maths, 4 subjects. I was in lessons 8:30 till 4:30, 5 days a week. Second year I had 2 half days. My 2 half days, I used to leave on 1 or 2 of both of my half days. I used to work 3 days a week. Yeah, 2 of my half days, I used to leave straight immediately, half hour, get to work till like, I don't know, 8, whatever time we closed. I worked 3 days a week. I went to Bible study. I used to wake up at 6 a.m, go to the gym before studying. I was like, I had it together, and my outfits were on point. My outfits were always on point. Hair was always on point. Everything was always on point. I don't know where she went. She died. That girl is dead. But we're trying to resurrect her now. And realizing that I feel like there was a part of me in that point in my life, and where I was having so much more control over what I was doing. And I was in this place of hope and opportunity, knowing that like, I'm going to move out, like I'm going to be able to do stuff. And so, coming now to where I am now, and like being an adult and being like 10 years since that time, now it's been a decade since that girl existed. And I'm like trying to find her again. And it's making me realize that no, this religion thing did a number on me, like in so many different ways. Because even the mentality that I used to have, like when I was working in London, was horrific. Like, because what I would do, right, is I would literally wake up super early in the morning. Like this is where it's going to get messy with what I'm going to tell you guys, but we're here now. So there was a point in time that when the person I was in a relationship with was in prison. Okay, let's just get to the point. Anyway, during that time, I was also still working independently, doing whatever I was doing. So I would wake up at like 6 a.m. to go and visit this gentleman 3 days a week. And I will work through the whole day. I'll start, Mondays was always my admin days, which is the same as like it is now, where I like to get a lot of my admin and planning for scheduling for the week and a lot of stuff like that done, meetings, you name it. So I spend the whole day working, and I will work the whole day dotting around London. I'm trying to book any meeting possible. I'm going to every networking event. I'm doing everything you can possibly imagine. I did event planning. What else did I do? I did media consultancy for a little while. I did creative directing. I did so many different things. I was doing choreography. I worked as a project manager on an art exhibition. Like, who is she? I learned barista training because I worked at this kid's coffee shop for a little while. Like, I was just doing everything. And then on top of that, building up my businesses, because I was like, you need to do more. And I would work the whole day, and I'd be like, you don't stop until you're too tired to work. And so I would just work until I was too tired to work, to the point where I could not physically work anymore, go to sleep, wake up and do it again. Like, it was crazy. I lived off of coffee. I would drink coffee throughout, black coffee, no sugar, all throughout the day. And I'll eat one meal at the end of the day. That was it. Like, my life was just insanity, right? It was absolute insanity. That's obviously why I was able to achieve so much, because like, I'm like working like all these hours. I'm doing like however many different jobs. I'm darting around London, doing all sorts, on top of helping to manage this individual who's in a predicament, and showing up to find this paperwork, and finding lawyers, and going to meet with attorneys, and going to meet with barristers, and all this, all at the same time. As like a 21-year-old gal in London. So that's what I was doing. So I've just come to realize that the reason why I operate as if like I have to be putting out 1,000,000% or I'm not doing enough is the 97 thing I was saying from the beginning, because 97% isn't even enough. It's never enough, and it's never going to be enough. Like, and that's the point of religion. So I'm saying it's religion. This is what's the difference between religion and relationship. Religion makes you think that there's somehow you can do enough on your own to earn God's love, to earn your rights to heaven, to whatever. That is what religion does. And that is what religion breeds in people. This idea of, in order to be acceptable, in order to be accepted, in order to be worthy, in order to be good enough, in order to be all of this, you must do more and more and more and more. That's why I ask questions these days to the religious focals of the world. What is, so I was asking that, I don't know if you guys saw that when I did my series reading through the Quran, which I abruptly ended when we got to the point of what we needed to get to, which was child marriage and whatever. You guys can go and check out the videos. I was like, this is enough for me. That's enough for me. If you know, you know. And I was like, so what's the threshold? Because this is what I'm saying. And it's funny that I'm a teacher and I mark things. Because for me, I hate the marking. This is why I hate the marking system. Because the marking system, again, it's not a reflection of somebody's potential or even their ability. It's just a reflection of whatever happened on that day. And let me explain what I mean by that. So like, me as a teacher, right? I know that when it comes to my kids, I've been thinking, by the way, like my most recent experience with the kids, especially at this new job, I honestly think kids need therapy more than education. I think if kids had more therapy, that would actually in turn boost their education without even doing anything with their education. But nevertheless, because at this point, I'm just like, should I just become a child therapist? Because like these kids need therapy. But anyway, so I know that when I'm teaching these kids, their life circumstances and everything that's going on is going to affect what they're capable of doing so much more than we realize. And it's the same for us as adults. It's just that we learn more skills as we get older through experience of how to deal with it. But it's the same with them. Like if I know, sometimes I can tell with the students that they're just not there. So me harping on and being like, listen, you're not focused today. What's wrong? Like that's not going to help anything. So I'll ask always at the start of my lessons, I always ask, you know, the kids like, so like, how is everybody? Like, how are you? What's your week been like? What have you been up to today? Because you'd be surprised that a lot of times if they have something on their mind that's bothering them, if they're not able to express it, it'll just be there in their mind and they can't focus. You'll be surprised how much more comfortable and attentive they will be when they know, like when they feel like they've had an opportunity to like say something or talk about, or even if it's just something small, because sometimes they have, you know, like the other day a student of mine was like, I'm so sorry, like, I was late. There was all this water situation in my house. Like the water was leaking through the ceiling. And so rather than just rushing past it, we had like a proper like 5-minute conversation about it. So, because I was thinking they need help to diffuse the anxiety and the panic and the stress. And then we smoothly, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying in exams. It's like some random date that who knows what's happened to them, who knows what's going on in their lives. You're being assessed on something that is set to get you to fail. Because again, so many of these questions I look at, I'm like, what are we trying to do to the kids really with these exams? Like, it really annoys me. I can't wait for the day that all the work I'm doing now is over. I can finally shift into doing what I really want to do, the homeschooling stuff, because I can't with this system. It's the same thing. It's like you're being judged in a way, like the kids are being judged. Like it's the same thing like religion. They're being judged without the other very important factors being taken into account. So for example, this is why I think of somebody like Tana Mojo as a good example of somebody that I relate to. She is judged by society, right? Why? Because of how she acts. Oh, she's out. She's always on drugs. She's always sleeping around, blah, 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 blah. You, sitting on your high horse of self-righteousness, haven't realized that the factors that are different for you and her are you come from a stable home, darling. You, until the age of 25, had a home you could live in and work and look and be looked after and have safety and people giving you wise advice and what have you. She, on the other hand, says she had to parent them. In fact, they sued her for defamation. And I'm going to do a video separately next about how defamation, facts ain't defamation, as BJ Investigation said, which I was like, love that. She's like, facts ain't defamation. And I was like, that was a word I needed today. I needed to hear that word today myself. So there's other factors at play. And this is why I believe that Jesus and the Bible and everything just makes so much sense to me. Because Jesus comes because it's like you are never going to do well enough And as soon as destruction, the door to destruction was opened, there has become so many factors that the grace of God is understanding that there are so many factors. And so therefore, I'm just going to give you an unlimited source, because if it was limited, that might mean you're going to be held at an exam that you may fail, and the variables for you failing might not all be in your grasp. They might not all be things that are coming from you, and some external other factors that are at play that you can't be blamed for. Because this is the other thing that I've been like working on with the Lord, is like, God, but what point do I, because I keep saying in my videos, like, I don't feel sorry for me. I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me, because I feel like people having any kind of understanding or showing me any kind of like I feel like taking the blame off of anybody but myself makes me sound weak. Like, I know that's so toxic. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah, so I feel like putting the blame on anybody but myself makes me sound like I'm weak, and it makes me weak. And I realized that, like, because somebody the other day was saying, oh gosh, I've been going through so much like internal stuff, was saying that thing, they were like, someone was saying like, that thing that you do where you put all the blame on yourself, you have to get to the bottom of why you do that. And I was like, that's so true, because that's something I've recognized recently that I do that is highly problematic. And it's why I don't want to have relationships with people, because I don't want to disappoint them, because then I'm going to feel like everything's my fault and that their life would have been better had they never come to know me, which is how I truly feel. Honestly, like, sometimes I feel guilty for making YouTube videos, because I'm like, oh my gosh, these people's lives could have been better off if I'd never made any videos. You know what I'm saying? So that, intertwined with feeling like a burden all the time for a long time, does a number on you again. But then again, the blame thing, it's like, it goes back to the grace thing, and it goes back to why Jesus. It's like, you can't take the blame for everything, because we all created this world we live in. And I think for me, I came to realize that I'm uncomfortable with putting blame on other people, when the blame is the truth. Like, this is what I'm saying. Facts ain't defamation. You know what I'm saying? Facts ain't weakness. I'm sorry, and I'm trying to tell this to myself. And again, it's a religious thing, because religion would say, oh, you can just be whatever. It doesn't matter, whatever. Do better. Get 100%. Doesn't matter you got 97%. You know, for me to have got 97% on that exam, I think I would have had to drop only like one mark, or maybe 2 marks in the whole paper. In the whole GCSE maths paper, I get to 97%. And you want to say to me, but it's not 100. And then afterwards, I cackle like it was a little joke. And it's actually funny, because the individual in question, I love how I use that phrase, individual in question. The individual in question always used to tell me, and always reminds me about how much they always they were always bad at maths. So now that I'm older and now that I'm wiser, I'm thinking, I think there was a bit of jealousy in there. And that's another thing that happens in religion, unfortunately, because people that value themselves on the value system of, oh my gosh, I'm going to do a separate video on because I could really go off with this one. Religion and jealousy. We'll talk about that separately. But anyways, what I just wanted to get off my chest in this video, let me write this down. Hold up. Okay. Yeah. You guys, just, I'm telling you, I don't know why. I don't know. I feel so uncomfortable like doing this, but recently the Lord's been like, you need to start doing the things that make you uncomfortable again, because you got too comfortable in the things that you were finding uncomfortable. So now we've got to do the uncomfortable again. I'm just like, Lord, why? But I really want to talk about this stuff. Like, I really enjoy making these videos. You guys have no idea how therapeutic it is for me. You have no idea how much it means to me, like, when you guys like the video and comment, because it's just nice. Like, it's a completely different experience what I've had on YouTube to like what I've had in a lot of my life, because a lot of you guys, you put up with my craziness, my inconsistency. I put up this video, I take down that video. I say this hot take, I say that hot take. I'm problematic here and I'm whatever. And it's just, honestly, I have to say that starting YouTube is literally one of the best decisions I ever made, and is literally one of my favorite things to do, because you guys are just awesome. And it's not, if not for the winning team, I would have never have realized that the world could actually be like people can actually be nice. Like, I know that sounds extreme, but like I said, growing up in the environment that I did in terms of just religion and then religious ways of being, this whole earning system, And then the jealousy part, which we're going to talk about jealousy next, because we're going to talk about jealousy. Okay, because there are some interesting things I have to say about jealous, and particularly that a lot of jealous people, jealous religious people especially, are the type, well, let's not say jealous religious people, but jealous people are the type to encourage bad behavior in somebody that they're jealous of so that they can kind of look down on you and you can never become who God created for you to be. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. You'll see me back here in my next video, if life's a game. Let's play to win. God bless you all.